How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Amityville Asylum. This is from 2013. It is written, produced, and directed by Andrew Jones and stars Sophia Del Pizzo, Bane, and Jared Morgan. And this is one of those unofficial Amityville sequels. And I do want to say, I look through the used movie stores and I generally pick them up when I see them. And this one has a pretty cool cover. I really like the falling out teeth, the human eyes, the shotgun shell in the head. It's a very creepy, unnerving image. That's cool. Wish the movie behind it was better. In addition to being unofficial Amityville, this is also low budget British horror, which does have a reputation behind it. We recently talked about the Amityville Scarecrow movies on this channel. Those were pretty bad. Those were factory films, just pad out the runtime with talking and ship it out the door, get the movie done, doesn't matter what the movie actually is. And this isn't that bad. It doesn't feel like a factory film. When it makes mistakes, it feels like it's making them on an amateurish way and not a lazy way. It feels like they legitimately thought the movie was much scarier and much more interesting and dramatic than it actually was. So even though I can tell that there was more effort here than a lot of other micro-budget British horror movies, it still suffers the same crucial problem, and that is most of the first 2/3 of this movie is these two janitors talking. Yeah, I wish there was more to break it up. I wish the movie had better, scarier scenes. Like the scary scenes will be like, oh, a patient's doing something a little bit weird, or we have to go to Ward X, or there'll be a ghost girl. None of them were really scary, and being the night shift at a big insane asylum, that could have really been terrifying. And they try to do atmosphere, but it really just makes everything seem kind of dark and muddy and hard to look at. And the scares never worked, and it was just way too much of this talking that ate up so much of the time. And it honestly almost forgets it's an Amityville movie. Like, I don't think they say the word Amityville until about 50 minutes into this movie, and even then they pronounce it as Amityville. The one girl that says it first mispronounces it, and we haven't heard that word in about 50 minutes. It's great. But when it does remember it's an Amityville movie, it makes an effort to tie the lore into the story, and things actually start happening. Yeah, when things start happening, there are stupid moments, and there are definitely some unsatisfying moments at the ending, but at least something happens. And I think with how slow those first two acts were, if you were to chop out a lot of unnecessary stuff from them and squeeze the third act down, you might have a halfway decent 45-minute Amityville movie. Yeah, I don't want to oversell it and say that it's the worst thing ever. It's not the worst Amityville movie ever. I'm pretty sure I know what that one is, and I'll get to it soon, but it's just not great. It's slow, it's dull, it's forgettable, but you can tell there was some effort, and every now and then something would almost work. But yeah, not really much to see here, sadly. If you guys are Amityville completionists, or you don't mind a really slow, not great movie, I guess you can watch it. It's, again, not the worst thing ever, but can't really recommend this one. Anyway, from here on out, let's do a bit of a deeper analysis. I'll talk a little bit about the plot and talk about elements that don't work. I won't be doing any major spoilers. I don't have to cover the end to do that. But without further ado, let's dig down a bit. Right off the bat, I want to say we open with super slow credits, and why these credits are going on, we actually get to see the DeFeo murders, and a twist this time around that a mysterious person in a hood offered the gun to him, implying an outside force, However, to be honest, these images are so muted and blurry and shadowy. It took me a minute to realize they were trying to tell me a story, and all this really is slow opening credits. But anyway, we get to the main character. She's a girl that lost her mom, and you'll forget that until a ghost tells you. She's kind of not much going on, just there to observe things and talk to people. She's your lead character, but I honestly didn't remember her deal that her mother was missing until it was brought up. Not missing, dead, until it was brought up. But anyway, she's in a job interview, and we know the drill. This is a serious asylum job. You have some experience, I don't know. Oh, please, I need this job. And then she sneezes on the boss's hand, which is super weird, and I get you want to do the trope of thinking you're not going to get the job and you messed it up, but then you actually get it. But why do low-budget movies have characters do such weird things? Yeah, how do we illustrate that she doesn't think she's going to get the job? She'll sneeze on his hand. Who came up with that? Whatever. She obviously does get the job, and now she's doing night janitorial work at the asylum, and her boss will just disappear. That is a strange thing. Like, they set up the boss to clearly be one of the main characters, and when the movie finally turns the plot back on, he'll show up again. But yeah, you're not gonna see the boss for quite a while after this. Who you will be following around is the sort of senior janitor character. And the thing is, a lot of the movie is going to be talking to this guy, and he's a better charismatic actor. Can he support most of the movie just being talking to him? No. He still is one of the better actors, I guess. They start off, and he has to tell her how to clean the asylum, and there's like a scene going through and explaining what all the different chemicals do in the janitor's closet. Maybe you didn't need all of that? I feel like I could legitimately be a janitor now after having watched this, but whatever. They'll talk about philosophy, they'll talk about a few other things, and a lot of it is just these two in the break room, these two sitting on the stairs. We're gonna get a lot of mileage out of this. She'll also meet some orderlies who are cartoonish jerks, which I guess you need an antagonistic force, but these two were awful and it didn't work. Whatever. And you'll get some scary parts, you know. Not great. Ghost girl, patient being weird. It never scared me. And like, we're in a big empty asylum at night. This should be super creepy, and it just really wasn't. So whatever. We eventually get, like, the main scary bit of this asylum is Ward X, and in Ward X, one of the film's better scenes, we get to meet all the patients there, and they're in shadows, and it's like, she was in a cult, he was a cannibal, but he only ate people that sexually assaulted people. Can you believe they thought he was a hero? Yeah, I could believe that. But, the people in Ward X, they're probably one of the more interesting parts, but they don't have much to do because they all are locked in the basement and locked up and not really roaming around and doing much. And I'm like, I wish we got something better with them. Also in Ward X is Patient X. What, did Elon Musk write this movie? Patient X in Ward X? He's a guy that doesn't talk, no one knows who he is, and he acted kind of violent, so they locked him in the basement. Okay, whatever, I'm sure he'll come into play when the movie finally gets going again. And eventually it does. Like I said, it takes about 50 minutes. You know, you had the opening credits, and then you go about 50 minutes, and her friend comes over to see her and says, don't you know that the hospital was built on the old Amityville, no, what is it? Amityville, that's how she pronounces it. the Amityville house. It's one of those where they tear the house down and build something random on top of it. Which, no, you can't tear the Amityville house down. It regenerates. Yeah, whatever. So it's that type of deal, but to be honest, it goes so far into the movie that it almost feels like a spoiler to say that the Amityville Asylum takes place in Amityville, and it really shouldn't be. And once they say that, the plot gets going, and yeah, stuff is finally happening, but they like pull out a weird insane asylum trope that they really hadn't set up, and it just feels stupid when they use it. And the ending is kind of dissatisfying. Two major notes that I want to end on, two things that really don't work here. One is they do reference the Native American history of Amityville and how they suspect the house was built on a mass grave. Now, normally in movies, they would try to be respectful, but here they said the Native Americans were in a satanic cult, worshipping who they literally call, I think it was like the Dark Master or something silly like that, and they are killing people, and cool, that's totally not insensitive at all, is it? So yeah, the whole cult thing is just a little too on the nose, and it's really weird that you made it the Native Americans that are doing the cult and not just generic witches. Like, don't tie those two things together, please. But also, another big thing that really does ruin the momentum is there's some scenes that are really intense and actually quite important, and the music will just drown out the words. I don't know what was up. At first I thought when it happened once that it was just like they messed up the audio for this scene or something, but then it happened like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, that's a stylistic choice. I get thinking you're so big and in the moment that you want this grandiose music, but when I can't tell what they're saying, it ruins the dialogue. And it happens at really key times too, so yeah, a second fatal flaw there. So overall, this movie, like I said, it's not the worst Amityville ever, and it's not a factory film, but it is one that spends way too long talking, isn't near as interesting or scary as it thinks it is, and just doesn't have much going on for it. I wish this was better, but it really isn't. It's a boring movie that just constantly doesn't start, you know? But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more videos kind of like this, you can click there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.